Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Hey, welcome to this newest episode, and we are going to get right into it. I know you guys are rocking and rolling out there, busting ass, and one of the things I get most often from questions from people that reach out to me, yes, they like to learn about notes, but they also want to find out what's working in today's chaotic markets. What's working besides note investing? What's working on the fix and flip or the wholesaling side? So I wanted to reach out to a buddy of mine who is a kick-ass guy, a proud father, a proud husband who may not have like a decade long, 20 years, but he is so passionate and he is kicking ass and taking names and closing deals and helping his community do the same thing. I've never seen a guy with a bigger heart out there who is making a name for himself. Who am I talking about? He is the chief bottle washer, the main man behind the REI Freedom Podcast. Jeremy Beland joined us here today. What is up, Jeremy? How you doing today, man?
Hey, brother, happy to be here. Thank you so much. Love all the energy. And obviously, you're wearing the Red Sox hat, which is my hometown team, which is awesome. So thank you so much for repping them. But dude, it's a pleasure to be here. We had the pleasure of having you on our podcast, and I'm really excited to have the honor to be a guest on yours as well.
Well, I appreciate. Yeah, we had some fun. We're a little heartbroken. Boston didn't make it, didn't beat their dreaded enemies there in the pinstripes this year.
That's happened a lot in my lifetime.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is I'm also a struggling Cowboys fan.
Okay, well,
So,
that's
you
more
know,
painful.
the Eagles, Cowboys may have a better, I won't say better organization, but the Eagles fans are like, well, we've won more in the last 20 years than you have. And
That's
I would
true.
say that the Red Sox have definitely won a whole lot more than the Yankees since
Yeah,
2009.
in
So,
the 2000s, it's been better for the Red Sox. 1900s, not so much.
exactly. Well, the come from behind, down 3-0,
I watched
docu-series they
that
have.
game, and that was some life-changing memories during those times. That was a lot of fun.
Totally. Well, let's talk about life-changing memories
Yeah.
on the investing side of things. You're doing a bunch and you got started. I mean, I love the gamble. If people don't know your backstory, you sold your house. You said, let's shrink down to a small apartment. Let's invest in the education side and let's make it happen. I mean, literally burning bridges so there's
I
no
did.
turning back. Can you talk a little about that? Because I know a lot of folks out there want to get into investing, but they don't have the cojones to actually kind of let go of what's holding them back.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like my story getting there, and I won't get into my long story today, but there was a lot of downs, right? My family went through foreclosure and bankruptcy during the recession of 2008-9. I was on the brink of foreclosure and bankruptcy. It was actually a real estate investor that helped me get through that time. So my first off-market deal, I was the motivated distressed seller. And I always like to say, like, everybody's one or two life choices or one or two life events from basically hitting rock bottom. And many of us know people that do, and good people fall in hard times. And that happens to a lot of us. And sometimes it's really hard to find a way out of it. But real estate investors can play a pivotal role in helping people out, right? And if it wasn't for that real estate investor back then, my friend, I wouldn't be here today. So I'm very thankful for what was the worst moment in my life at that point turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened to me. And really been a blessing in disguise because as I sit here now, starting my business at 40, I just turned 49, wrapping up our ninth year. I've done close to 500 off market deals, right? So that's a lot of people in my communities that I've been able to help out of similar situations. And then in the last 2 years, I've been coaching. And with our coaching team, we've been able to now teach people to do that even more so while helping them start to build a life of financial freedom and break, from the golden handcuffs of corporate America or wherever they're working. So, it's just really become a blessing. But yeah, I found myself basically approaching 40. I was a divorced dad of two kids. And, if anybody's in our 40s or 50s here, people as you get older, you start to become very vulnerable in corporate America. And, long gone are the days of just working for a company and retiring. Retirement's probably even a myth at this point. Very few places can you retire. And as you start becoming more successful, you spend 10, 20, 30 years busting your ass for this company, become a VP, senior VP. When the economy struggles like it is right now, and your company is one of those companies that struggles with the economy, they start chopping things off at the top, not the bottom, but the top. And I saw that happen to a lot of people I knew. And I thought to myself, man, after going through, basically almost losing everything during the recession, I don't want to be in a situation where maybe my company folds, the company I'm working for, the owner decides to sell. I don't have a great education. I was just scared. So I figured, I'm gonna have to take things into my own control. And I've been intrigued with real estate investing ever since 2008, 9, because I was looking at it then. And it's funny, I was thinking about it this morning. Like I remember in 2014, 15, looking at one of my neighbors, and they just flipped a house on a place where I used to go running. And I was like, oh my God, that's so awesome. And now I get to do that for a living, right? And I'm so excited that that happened. But at 40, I was approaching 40. I had, I don't know, a couple tens of thousands of dollars in my 401k, right? So no retirement there, making six figures, but still kind of living paycheck to paycheck. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? And I came across, after listening to podcasts and stuff, different things for a couple of years, I came across this guy named Tom Kroll. He started Wholesaling Inc. He's out of Florida. He was just really dynamic. And if you guys don't know Tom Kroll, you got to look him up. He coaches now, but back in the day, he coached wholesaling, and he was just dynamic. He's like bam, he's just full of energy and ding 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 with the whole thing. And I was just like, wow, this guy's magnetic, and just sucked me right in. And I started listening for a year as I'm a traveling salesman, divorced dad. I'm like, how am I going to do this? He has a coaching program. I look into it, and it's $5,000. I'm like, man, I can't really afford $5,000 plus marketing. But what if I sell my house? So I owned a townhouse for almost 2 years. Literally, it was 10 years ago, no, 9 years ago, this past month, that I turned 40. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to sell it. I sold that townhouse, closed on it in December. I joined the coaching program, started January of 2017 of marketing. So I made $17,000 on that house, moved my kids into a crappy little two-bedroom apartment. And I'm talking crappy. Took a huge step back. And this was it. This was all the money I had, was just this little bit of equity in this house. Like if this didn't happen, I was stuck in this overpriced, crappy ass apartment with, I don't know how long it was going to be. So yeah, I spent $11,000 starting my business, $5,000 for the coaching program, $6,000 for marketing. This is my first check. I don't know if you can see that, but I made $5,000 in March of 2017, 90 days later. Proof of concept was made, went on to do about 10 deals and about $77,000 that year, and built the foundation of something great. My girlfriend, my wife now, girlfriend then, quit her job, came on full time. A couple of years later, I quit, went full time, which was scary as hell. We hired an acquisition team, built a team, went into different markets. But as I stand here today, getting ready to wrap up our ninth year and get ready for year 10, which is an amazing milestone for any small business owner in itself. We are getting ready to hit the 500th off-market deal that we've closed since we started this journey, and done $12 million in gross profits. And it would have never, ever happened if I didn't have the courage to sell my townhouse and gamble on myself. So incredibly grateful that I did. Wasn't easy, but boy, was it freaking worth it.
Yeah, totally with it there. I gotta give you the applause there, the applause meter there, because that's awesome, and I love it too that you've got the first shut up check. You get a frame there. Proof of concept. That always makes me cringe because it works. It works if you'll work it. A lot of times we need that proof of concept that we can do it, or
Yeah,
not only the shut up check to our critics, but the shut up check to that inner voice that says you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, because we all face that, right? That imposter
100%.
syndrome. What are you doing? And that's the thing. I know that you deal with that when you're talking with people, because you're just as passionate about. I think you're more passionate about your students closing deals, just like I am. I get more
Yes,
excited when people, because it's old hat to us now, rinse and repeat in a lot of cases. But so many others out there, it's their first time, and it's just like a new puppy. Like, oh shit,
it
I can
is.
do
It
this.
is. Yeah. Yeah. In our coaching business, especially with people that are brand new that join in, like for me, I want to get them that first deal closed as quickly as possible, because then it's just like, holy smokes, I actually can do this. Right. And that confidence is huge. The check is nice, but the reassurance and the confidence you get from that first deal is just life changing.
Yeah. Now, what do you see as being so different today, 9 years later? And
A
let's just,
lot.
I mean, a lot is different. Let's talk about one niche right now that I think is the easy thing for a lot of folks is the wholesaling side.
Yeah.
What's so different now versus what was back then 9 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, wholesaling was still, it was popular, but it was still relatively new in 2016, 2017. When I started here, there was only one other person, Joe Tarold who started just before I did, and he's kind of from the same pedigree. Um, but he was like one of the only people that was doing at a consistent level. And I remember a lot of cash buys and title companies telling me like, we've seen wholesalers wholesale a deal or two, but we've never seen people do it month after month like you do. We've just never seen it before. And then eventually, as time goes on, there's more of them, there's more cash buys, more competition. There's more competition now than there's ever been. Obviously, with so much information out there on YouTube and all this other stuff, which is great. I didn't really have a lot of that back then. There's a lot of people trying it, but I've also seen a lot of people come and go. Like anything else, 20% of the people stick around, 80% try it and just go. But yeah, it's changed a lot. But I've grown a lot. I don't worry about competition. I believe in collaboration. I believe there's plenty of opportunity for everybody. It may be a little more costly for me to get my opportunity these days, but with that being said, there's still plenty of opportunities for everybody.
Now, what do you see is working right now as far as let's talk about, and I don't want to take away any secret sauce
Yeah, no, it's
that
fine.
you,
I'll
you know
share it.
what
I
I
don't
mean?
care.
So
Yeah.
what do you see as far as, so there's a lot of different things like vacant homes or
Yep.
distressed or foreclosures. I mean, when I started back, I was sailing out letters and postcards and door knocking on
Yep.
foreclosure stuff like that. What do you see as kind of maybe the top two or three niches or lists that you're targeting that's working well for you and your students right now?
Yeah, I mean, for the year one, all I ever did was a little white handwritten postcard on like, just, absentee owner list and owner owned equity list. And, it was great. I don't do any mailings anymore. And I really try to direct a lot of my students not to do it. Some of them do. It depends on the market. And every
Sure.
marketing channel is going to work differently in different markets. It's not all the same. I've had multiple markets at the same time, and I know that the different marketing channels don't always work. But right now, what we love is TV commercials. That's been really a game changer for us up here in New Hampshire. Without coming across arrogant or really cocky, my wife and I just have this ability to be very marketable. I
Yeah.
think we're very relatable. And we have a great story to share. And the messages we send out there are just different than we buy houses like this for cash, right? We're much more intentional with our messages, and it's resonated really well. And our lead to deal conversion is super, super low with TV commercials. But with that being said, I don't think TV commercials is something that you could just scale and expect to live off of. So with that being said, my favorite marketing channel that's been really good in pretty much all markets that I've been in, some have taken a little bit longer than others, but it's really pretty consistent, brings in good deals, has been pay-per-click with Google
Hmm.
PPC. If you get a good PPC company, you can pretty much get that up and running. It may take 6 months to really get it dialed in, but it's always served me really, really well. We've made 5 to 6 to 1 return in just about every market we've ever done with PPC.
That's really, really nice. That's good stuff there. Now, I know somebody's going to ask the question right now, what's it costing you on those commercials? Because we know TV is actually, advertising on TV has actually gotten cheaper over the years with all the different channels and streaming services, stuff like that, and they're looking for people. What's kind of the cost aspect of it, if you can go a little bit into those numbers?
Yeah, it costs us about $1,000 an episode. We $1,000 a commercial, I should say. We in our local market here in New Hampshire, we just started running commercials down in Rhode Island, so we had to record 3 more. But we have 5 commercials on rotation, so we run one commercial every single month, and then it goes through 5 times. And one of the commercials is I talk about my story in 2008 and 2009, where I lost everything, and it was a real estate investor that saved me. I'm publicly putting that out there for the whole world to see me be very vulnerable. We also share that I've been in the military, right? And there's different things that we share, but we don't want the same commercial to go, month after month, because it's going to drown out. We want, so we'll probably continue to make more when we really feel like this message will resonate well. And I think we've done a really good job with our commercial people putting our ideas, our vision to reality. So, $1,000 a commercial. We run about $5,000 a month on one TV channel. To run it Monday through Friday, basically like 9 to 3, during Regis and Kelly or whatever the heck those people are these days. I don't even know. But it works. We're at the gym and everybody's like, "Oh, I saw your commercial," or we'll be eating breakfast at some local restaurant. We'll be like, "Oh man, that's us on TV commercial, honey. Don't look." you know. But the TV commercials have worked really, really well. But I'll tell you, it took us a long time to get them up and running. We were probably in it for almost 30K before we got our first deal from it.
Well, but I like two things on there. You have five, you said five or a couple different commercials, so it's
Yep,
not the monotonous things. And as
correct.
we all know, 80% of sales are made after the fifth contact. So they see the fifth
Correct.
commercial, like, oh, this
Hmm.
guy's sticking around. I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
And honestly, that's cheap. Yes, you've got some money up front to do that, but it's I guarantee you've made it back obviously with your first deal on
Yeah,
that or the first couple
it's
deals.
our greatest ROI marketing channel it is right now. We get a handful of leads a month, not a lot, but the quality of leads have been really, really good. But again, we could never be $1 million business with TV commercials,
Right.
but it is a great tool in our marketing chest for sure.
Awesome. Now, the second one, the pay per click. Do you have an in-house person? Do you have take some time to find an agency to help out with that with the Google
Yeah,
ads and
we've
stuff like that?
used a few agencies over the years. We have a guy now, his name's out Anthony, I believe he's out of Las Vegas. But he does a great job for us. So he manages it for us. He actually, I was a little reluctant to go with him, and he said, let me do it for free. And he did it for free, his own management fees until he got it up and running. And he is by far the best PPC person we ever had. So if anybody's looking for PPC, hit me up. I will give it to you. I get nothing out of it. Just this guy is legit. We've gone with other companies. We had a company we used for a long time from 18 to 21 that was really good. And then they started to become a part owner of a wholesaling franchise nationally. And once I saw a local franchise in my market, it just coincided with my PPC tanking. They said that wasn't the case, but that's what happened. Then it took us a few other people to try before we got it right. So not all PPC companies are created equal, and it's expensive. I mean, the management fee is only $1,500 a month, but we're spending 10 grand a month on ads, and you can
Hmm.
spend way more than that. But if you're only going to spend a couple $1,000s a month, it's going to be really, really hard for you to get traction with that. You really got to get at least five, but 10's a good spot. But you could, I've just been months back in the day where I spent 15 to $20,000 on it.
Right. Have you seen that change as algorithms have changed and costs have increased, or have you
Yeah.
adjusted kind of what I'm sure you have adjusted, fine-tuned the keywords and things like that that people are searching for as well in there too to help
Yeah, I mean,
brand?
we meet with all of our marketing providers on a monthly basis to just kind of go over all the details. We share our KPIs, look at their KPIs, and making sure that we're all on the same page to produce results, right? They need our feedback as much as we need to explain to them, hey, this is what's not working, this is what's working. So yeah, there's a lot of that goes behind the scenes. What I will tell you here in the Northeast is the Northeast is very, very expensive when it comes to PPC. It's a small market as far as territory, mileage wise goes, and it's not super dense, but there's a lot of competition here in the greater Boston area. And you know, some of the cost per leads could be equivalent to what you see out in Los Angeles, San
Right.
Diego, some of those kind of markets, right? But they have hundreds and hundreds of thousands more homes than we do, if not millions more homes than we do. So, a lot of people use PPC here, which has driven up our costs. And then you start to get into this time of year, we start to get into the holidays. Google makes it even more costly. It's not uncommon to see, pay per click go up to like, a few $100 or $700 can add
Hmm.
up really, really fast. So it's definitely not a marketing channel if you're relatively new to this business. I don't like any of my new students doing it until they start to get consistent results. Once you start to get consistent results, you can spend some money on it because you can burn a lot of cash quickly if you don't know what you're doing and have nothing to show for it.
Totally makes sense on that stuff. You got to know what you're doing and be dialed in and be serious about it too. What's the other channels that you like recommend to your students to start off as a better bang for the buck that they may not be burning
Yeah,
some cash?
so when you're brand new, right, it's definitely cold outreach. There's cold calling, there's text messaging, and there's direct mail. Text messaging back in 2018, 19, dude, we were getting like 11 to 1 return. And then all of a sudden the regulations came in and it was dead in the water for years and we had bailed on it. But as of late, it started to come back. And if you would have asked me a year ago, I would have said, don't waste your time with text. It's a dinosaur. But it's actually what I'm recommending to everybody now. In direct mail, performs as well sometimes, but it's much more costly. And
Yeah.
I think it's hard for people to say, I don't know if I can spend $10,000 in mailings before I really start to get some traction. And then, I was doing a podcast with a guest today, and he was talking about the reality of cold calling. Like most people don't realize this. Like he was cold calling every day, 5 days a week, and it took him 4 months to get his first deal. right?
Oh,
That's how many phone calls you got to take. And most people give up after a month.
oh
So
yeah.
text messaging with cold leads, you have to hit thousands, like many, many thousands of properties to find the one low hanging fruit that just says, hey, Jeremy, you caught me at the right time. Super motivated. I've been kicking the can down the road. I hit the dead end. Facing foreclosure, the auction's in 3 weeks. I basically procrastinate as long as I can. You reach me perfectly. I'm motivated to do a deal today. But those are few and far between. We're going to get other leads that we're going to get in there, but they take a long time to come to fruition, many, many months. You got to nurture them. So, when you're getting started, you got to keep your costs low. And we're trying to get our students their first deal within 3 to 4 months close. I try to say you're going to probably close anywhere from 4 deals on the low side year one to 10 deals on the high side in year one. That's really all you're going to do. You're not going to make a ton of money. A lot of it's going to go back into the business, but you're going to build the foundation of something great. And typically, the people who do that and keep the momentum going in year two, it's not uncommon to see a 2x, 3x, sometimes even a 4x in year two.
That I 100% agree with that. I mean, if you get to 10 deals your first year, you've done really, really well. It's
Agreed.
above average because it takes time of going through all the and really duds to find the deals, to deal with the emotion side of stuff on the real estate side. Because I'm sure you're dealing with people that are the most stressed out facing foreclosures or probates or people just dealing in bad situations. Or like I say here in Texas, they always call me the week after the foreclosure auction. So I'm like, you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
two. You get your fair share of those, I imagine, too, huh?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And a lot of these people, on see things online, and it makes it seem like it's so easy and it's so simple. All you have to do is just, send, put out some banner signs and make a few calls and make a few texts, and people are going to be like, "Yeah, I'm ready to sell my house at a discount, and I'm just going to make money like that." And it's not like that, and you're not really good in the beginning, like anything else, right? You need to take time to practice and get coached and hone your craft, and that means talking to sellers on the phone and in person. So, when you're doing those cold lead marketing channels like texting, cold calling, and direct mail, your costs for marketing cost per lead are relatively cheap. So when you're screwing up those appointments and screwing up those leads, you're not like breaking the bank and going to run out of money and run out of business. So that's a good way to like earn your stripes, so to speak. But with that being said, it's a high volume, high numbers game, and it's a long conversion cycle. So typically what we see with those marketing channels is when the lead comes in to when the deal closes, you're looking at about 6 months on average.
Yeah.
So, it may be 6 to 9 months of texting, cold calling, or direct mail before you even realize, is this thing even working or not? And most people never make it that long, but that's just how long it usually takes to bring in some kind of positive ROI.
Well, and it's also too if we've seen that with a lot of our probate deals, stuff like that, where people
Sure.
have passed away. It takes time to get it through the courts or the right decision makers or the spouse that doesn't want to stay there to figure stuff out. And so many people just give up after the first no or the first, oh, we do one mailing, they didn't fall back. I'm not follow back. I would say 75% of our deals comes in the follow-up, not just on the traditional stuff, but on the follow-up with asset managers, following up on deals that we didn't get accepted, that didn't end up closing out. Now we step in 90 days later as the true buyer because somebody didn't follow through on things or didn't decide they wanted to close on it.
Couldn't agree more. Almost 50% of people never follow up more than once, right? So if you follow up, you're already ahead of like half your competition. And we know that a lot of times it's like the seventh touch to get anything done in this business. And, a crazy statistic is like, if you had 10 people working a deal and that person signed up on the eighth touch, only 10%, meaning 1 out of 10 people would still be calling that person at that time. So the money is in the follow up. And matter of fact, I'm going to give you two examples, if you don't mind, real quick.
Sure.
2022, when the interest rates went really high, we got a lot of deals out of our database. We ended up doing over $500,000 in our database that year out of our local market. And out of those $500,000 worth of deals, let's just say there's, I don't know, 10 of them. I can't remember how many there were. They were in our database for an average of 600 days. So from when the
Wow.
lead came in to when they closed, all 10 of them were in there for almost 2 years. And if we didn't have follow-up systems in place, we would have lost out on $500,000 that year. That's how important follow-up is. I'm going to give you one more example because you made me think of it with this probate. Early in my career, 2019, we get this deal, and it's a great deal in a great town. We've never gotten there before, and it's a probate situation. And the guy's out from Minnesota or Montana, I think, where you were just talking about, out here in New Hampshire. His dad's house. His dad passed away. He's cleaning it out. and he's showing it to us and like six other investors. And this, we wanted to flip this house. We are like, this is a great flip for us. We love this town. It's going to do really well. And we're like at this number where we need to be, and we can see everybody's numbers starting to go like this, right? And we're like, it's gonna be a bidding war. We're not gonna do it. And we realized that we're starting to get bid out. Then all of a sudden he says to us, he's like, hey, sorry, just found out something happened with the probate. I have to go back into probate and get it done. And this was like September of 2019. And then what happened was my guy kept in contact with him. March of 2020 or February 2020, right around the pandemic time, he says, hey, I got free, I'm clear on probate. Nobody else was around. All those five other people were gone. We're the only person standing. We had no competition. Not only did we get the deal, but we got it $20,000 less than our original offer. We went and flipped that house in 3 months. We made almost $100,000 on it, and we were the only one left. That's how important follow-up is.
That is so important. Now you figure that every month was worth about 10 grand to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for like one phone call. Hey, how's the probate going? Nothing yet. All right, check to you next month. Right?
Mhm. Well,
$10,000 a minute.
exactly. That's the way you gamify. I always said every no was worth $1,000 I got when calling down for dollars the first time around because it
Yeah.
does take a while, 50 follow-ups or 50 before you get a yes or no. Let's talk about that. What are some systems that you're using in your follow-up? CRM. What's your favorite one or two softwares that you're using? Is it
Yeah, I
just a
mean,
spreadsheet with a number on it with a date?
well, I used to use a notebook my first year. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not big into the CRMs. I honestly I couldn't even tell you how to get into my CRM these days. I'd have to have my VA help me. But we use Podio. We customized it quite a few years back. We have drip campaigns. We also have a full-time VA that works in our database, and his job is he works kind of like almost like a lead manager, but he's just really any lead that comes in, he's making sure it goes straight to my acquisition guy and it's not getting missed. He's going through every single thing, and we have 10,000 plus properties, right? He's making sure everything has a next step, has all the information. We had a lot of deals early in those few years that were just kind of in purgatory, missing information, no next steps, and we left a lot of money on the table as a result of it. So in our cold leads, we have a text drip campaign that goes out. We do ringless voicemails about once a quarter. We'll send out mailings maybe once or twice a year to it as well. And but we're doing a lot of ringless voicemails and a lot of text messaging. And then anybody who responds, our VA is doing some quick basic qualifications. And if it's, hey, I'm interested in talking now, we send it right over to our acquisition guy. He puts it through the script and gets going. He's always managing his warm funnel, but when the cold leads, we kind of delegate that to our VA.
Well, but it's important, and I love what you just said there. You hit it with multiple facets.
Yes.
Ringless voicemail, very easy to do.
Cheap.
Text blast, a couple direct mail campaigns out to them. Two a year, like you said. Direct marketing, email, just that whole touch base. You kill them with kindness, almost kind of the aspect of it. And you're not taking no for an answer until that property's been sold and closed and is in
Sold or
somebody
they
else's name.
die, one or the other.
Right? Yeah.
We never ever stop. Unfortunately, not to sound morbid, but no, we never ever stop. And we want with is 10,000 plus properties in our database, right? We try to get to everybody. We want to get to everybody monthly, but with that, at this point, it's like every other month. We don't want it to go beyond that. So we have to be sending out text messages and ringless voicemails and direct mail campaigns. And even once in a while, maybe once a year, every 18 months, we'll hire a cold calling service just to hammer our database and just try to hit it that way. And then we stop using it.
That's
So
a great idea.
whatever it takes.
Yeah. Well, I love that. It takes that time. Now, how 10,000 assets. That sounds, oh my God, 10,000 properties. Folks
Yeah.
like, oh my God. Obviously, it wasn't that to start off with. And as you started going, are these 10,000 from people that are reaching out to you, or has it been from pulling different lists and stuff like that that
No,
you
these are
kept?
people that we've had some kind of communication
Okay,
in the past. Yeah,
that's good.
we don't consider a list that we pull a lead. A lead is somebody that shows some interest in selling either now or in the future. It may be people that just weren't the right fit, but we don't give up until again the house sells or they die.
Yep, that makes sense. Now, besides wholesaling, you're also doing a few more rehabs or burst strategies too now, aren't you too, Jeremy?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would say, I still get categorized as a wholesaler because that's
Sure.
how I started, but honestly, we don't wholesale a lot anymore.
Yeah,
I would call myself an off-market acquisition specialist, right? I'm
there you
all
go.
about getting properties off market, and we have multiple exit strategies out of it and to maximize revenue, whether we are wholesaling, we are wholetailing, which we buy the property, clean it out, immediately list it on the MLS, doing novations on a lot of properties. We try to market most of our properties on the MLS if we're not going to close on it. We do flip, we do burrs, we do sub twos occasionally, we do some other creative financing occasionally, all tools in our tool belts. Nothing that everybody should be doing all in the beginning. We've progressed over time because, I've been doing this a long time and I've spent multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars from other coaches to teach me how to get better at this stuff. But yeah, we also have a ton of private lending. We have, roughly about $8 to $9 million in private lending. That's true private lenders, not hard money, but private lenders that give us ability to we go into an appointment, and if we need $400,000 to close next week, we have that ability to do that. And, as we stand here today, I think I have about 12 properties under contract in various stages, which is probably somewhere around $5 million out in the street right now. And we got more deals coming every single month that we close on it. So, once we were able to really use other people's money, which was a game changer in our lives, I didn't have to worry about just getting it under contract and trying to sell it to a cash buyer. I was in control, and I always felt like cash buyers were too picky. And they're like, oh, they're not going to make money on this. I'm like, screw you guys. I'm going to make money. And I just started taking all these deals that nobody wanted, and I made money with all of them. So now my cash buyers get the crap that I don't want, and I keep everything else.
Well, I love that because wholesaling great gets up, but I've always thought wholesalers got the short end of the stick when it came to profit wise.
Agreed.
You
100%.
know, and talking about the private investors out there, what's been your secret success of raising that? Is it coming from IRA folks, just warm market, networking? What's been kind of the top two ways for you to raise capital for
Yeah, I
folks?
mean, so I learned from Todd Toback, who was one of my early mentors,
Todd's
and
great.
I
Yeah.
love Todd. He's been critical for my success early in my career. At first he was just like, post everything on social media that you did. So every time we got a deal under contract, every time a deal closed, we were just posting on social media. People would be like, holy smokes, another deal, another house. And it just assumed you were that guy who was doing a lot of deals, right? Which attracts people. And then I went and learned from Chris Noggle in 2019 how to market to private lenders after reading his private money guidebook. And that was a game changer. And then we started meeting people for coffee. And what it comes down to private lending, and this is something people should really understand. Private lending are people that we know. They're, your uncle, your cousin, a coworker, a dentist, right? They have money, but they're not really savvy on lending. And you have to educate them. So what we would do is we'd meet people, they'd show some interest. We'd meet with them, show them how the process works, how you protect it in first position, how we use your money, how the documents are drafted up, what kind of return. It showed them what that process was. So it was a lot of education.
Yeah.
But typically, once you do a deal with somebody, they're like, I don't want my money back, dude. That was awesome. Let's keep going. Because real estate's fun and sexy, right? Everybody watches HGTV. They love being a part of it. But most people don't want to flip a home. Most people don't want to own a rental property. And, they're probably high income earners and they have a ton of stuff going on, or they just have a ton of equity in their home. And I'm going to show them, hey, you have $500,000 in equity that's doing nothing. Let me show you how to make money off it. We actually just brought in a new private lender, just that alone. So we're marketing that, hey, we need some people. And then the people that we've had started off with a couple $100,000, but found out they had millions. And then next thing you know, we're using all $3 million of their deals. And then we grow out that and we have to bring in more. So a lot of it is asking for people for opportunities to go with us and then really truly sitting down, educating them and showing them how it works.
That's smart, and that's I love what you said about they're sharing the story, becoming that person in your market
Yeah.
who's doing deals because people want to surround themselves or align themselves with people doing deals and sharing again and again, same things that we teach here. What kind of rates are you getting your
Can I say
money at?
one thing on that though?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
I want to say that when it comes to lending, people lend on you
Yes.
more than the deal, right? So they need to understand that they can trust you. And like you said, promoting yourself out there, brands yourself as somebody who's actually succeeding in this business. That is a certainty that people want before they start giving you some money. So
Amen to that. Yeah, exactly. You got to share a little bit of the track record and build that rapport because they're going to
yeah,
invest in you and understand that for sure. Yeah, can't be an asshole. People don't like
no, no,
assholes.
no, no. Nobody likes to lend to assholes. They like to lend to nice people.
Well, and then let's talk. So, what kind of rates are you seeing stuff at? Are you
Yeah,
able
so
to sit there?
with our private lending, how it works is we have them lend 100% of everything.
Yeah.
So We don't pay any points down. We don't pay any monthly payments. We don't bring any money to the table. They bring 100% of whatever we need to borrow. So if it's, $200,000 for a house, $100,000 for rehab, another $20,000 in closing costs, we're borrowing that whole money, and then we're giving them a balloon payment of interest when we either resell the property or refinance it. So with that being said, we do pay a little bit more in interest, but I I just told you I have 12 properties. If I had a percentage of those 12 properties of my own money in there, plus making cash payments, I'd be cash poor,
Yeah.
and I would not be able to pay my team and pay my marketing, right? I need that cash burn to feed the beast, feed the machine, to create opportunities. My investors know that. So that's the way we work it. But anywhere from 12 to 18%, really APR, just depends on the lender, and anything in between. But we that's it. We're going to pay a little bit more, but I'm happy to do that because it's 100%. So I'm like, hey, dude, I got this great deal. I need $400,000 in a couple of weeks. They're like, all right. And then we just send an email to the title company with them. They draft up the paperwork. All I know is when we get a closing, the money's there.
Yeah.
It's that easy.
But that's the great thing about it too, is that you have your systems dialed in. And I want people to listen to this. And you're not going to put this stuff together day one. You've got to take time, like Jeremy's done this over years, of building systems and teams and working. You can't be a jack of all trades and do it yourself. But you've heard him talk about the different types of ways he's finding acquisitions, finding deals, marketing, the follow-up aspect, and the raising capital side. And I guarantee you're probably following up and drip marketing your private investors as well on a regular basis too, to keep them hooked in on what you got coming down the pipeline on a regular basis.
We send our private lenders a weekly email on all updates to them personally, so they always know what's going on. And for me personally, they're my customers.
Right.
They're the lifeblood of my business. So I have personal relationships with them. I call them, I talk to them. Some of them, been investing with us for years now, and we've made them hundreds, if not close to $1 million in interest over the years. Some of these guys are making well into six-figure returns in interest alone from us. So we're as important to them as they are to us. And that's important too, because there's going to be times when deals go sideways. As great as we all are, we need to be, hey, listen, I can't pay you as much on this one because I'm going to take a loss. Would you be willing to do a reduction on the interest? Of course, Jeremy, I want to help you out. Plenty of deals to come. I'm not going to hit you on this one. And you need to have that relationship where you can be honest and transparent when things are good and when they're bad. So again, they're my customers. I protect their money at all costs. I'm very careful with them, and I just want them to feel like they can trust us with their millions of dollars. They get a great return. And again, it feeds my business. Without them, I am a completely different business model, and a business model I don't want to be.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense there. And that's the thing, is like people understand that issues will arise if they've been an investor around for a while. They want a solution. They don't want to deal with a problem. They understand problems. They want you to come to them a solution. Like, hey, I need a little bit of reduction here, and I'll make it up on the next one to you,
Yeah.
or vice versa.
Yeah.
A lot of cases.
Yeah.
So
And they're always willing to work with you.
yeah, yeah. Just a second, like communication is key
It
onto
is.
it. When you're flipping stuff or doing rehabs, what are your kind of time frame? You're talking to trying to be in and out of an asset in under 6 months when you're selling,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
or
We try not to take on too many bigger projects. We
yeah,
got one going on now. We've done a few over the years. Bigger projects really aren't our jam. Um, I like to be out of projects in like 3 months, three to
okay,
4 months. I am still a firm believer that, the more money or more time you're sitting in a job, the more things can go wrong just because the market shifts, right? We saw how quickly interest rates change and recessions happen, COVID happened, right? So I always want to mitigate risk as much as I can for myself, but also my lenders. So I'm trying to get in and out of properties as quickly as possible. But with that being said, sometimes when we burr these multifamilies, it's a year-long process. As much as I try to speed it up as we can, we actually did a huge burr. It took us 2 years to renovate this 5 unit. Might as well just friggin' built the thing from the ground up. That's what it felt like. And I think I lost a few years of my life from it. But in the end of the day, it all worked out. But yeah, we're trying to get in and out of them as quickly as possible. It's safer that way.
yeah. What do you prefer your buy box? What's your ceiling on where you prefer to be at or under?
100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 100. 1 Dude, I'll look at anything. I'm not too particular. I'm not a big fan of mobile homes and mobile home parks. We
Sure.
still do them every now and then. I'm doing one as we speak, and it's always more of a headache than it's worth. We just listed yesterday our first $1 million listing, which is a big thing here in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Bought the house for $800,000, which was way outside my comfort zone, and we just listed it for $1.2 million. So I'm definitely nervous, but excited to see that. I did it the same way I bird my first property. I'm like, even if it doesn't work, I got to do it. I got to try it. I got to grow. I got to get uncomfortable. I'm going to
Yeah.
try something new. I don't want to be reckless. It's not reckless, but it's risky because it's something I haven't done before. So we'll see how we do. The house came out great. If it works, I'll be more open to doing it again. When I bird my first four family, I was like, I don't even care if this thing doesn't work. I'm going to go through the process. I want to see if it happens and it worked. Obviously, you just get better. So, it's that kind of risk. But, I'm not looking to do multi-million-dollar homes. It's not my jam. I'm not looking to custom build. We're starting to build some houses, but I'm building with people that are experienced builders. So I'm leveraging my private lending and their ability to build while we each work on maybe bringing a deal or a piece of land to the table. So, always trying to grow a little bit, but mostly what we do is just, your single family homes that, at least for flipping and wholesaling, that are your first time home buyer type homes.
Yeah.
That's pretty much our bread and butter around here.
That makes sense there for sure. Where now that you've been around, you're coming on your 10th year, what are you going to do to celebrate? What are you going to do to have
Well, yeah, I mean, we're coming into year 10, year 500. My acquisition guy in September just closed on his 200th deal with us, which is a remarkable feat in itself. One guy, 200 deals, right?
wow.
Some companies will never ever achieve that. So we're getting ready to celebrate with him on that achievement. And that's a good question. We haven't really discussed that yet. I mean, we're going to have to do something really cool. A lot of our people that work for us are like, moms that work from home and stuff. So I don't know with their kids if it's going to be reality. Like, hey, let's go to like, Bahamas for a weekend. That might not be what would logistically work, although we'd love to do that. But you know, it's amazing because we know that most businesses don't even make it 5 years.
Yeah.
And to make it 10 is a major milestone. And I'm really most proud of that. I'm proud of the success we have, but if we can make it 10 years and knowing that most small businesses never make it to 10 years, but we do, that's great. Personally, my wife and I, we're just going to continue to keep buying long-term rentals for our long-term revenue and just, we're going to just take good care of our team. But that's a great question. I wish I had an answer, but after this podcast, we're going to talk to my wife, honey, what are we going to do to celebrate our 10th year? So that'll be a topic of discussion this weekend.
How's the podcast helped your acquisitions? Because you're doing an amazing job with the REI Freedom podcast as well.
Yeah, it doesn't really do too much for the business. I think it's given me, I've built a good reputation here in New England. It's definitely given me more credibility over time. It's definitely brought me students into our coaching program. And, with those students, we're partnering up, right? So there's a lot of students that we can, again, leverage our private lending, do some deals. We'll sometimes manage a flip, sometimes they do. Um, so I'm allowing them to create opportunities that they haven't had before, and it allows more opportunities for us too. We're partnering up with a lot of people. This is the first 2 years that we've really partnered up with a lot of realtors and other investors in the area. I've always been reluctant to do so. And again, that's another way that I've continued to grow. So, we've done some great deals with realtors. We're continuing to do a lot of broker and agent outreach. We meet with a new brokerage every month to give presentations and meet with people. And then if there's a local investor that's doing a good job but doesn't have cash, I can help him out. We can work on that because I have the ability to raise cash. I'm good at it. And my lenders want me to use their money. So if it's sitting stagnant, we might as well get working and making some money. So that's
Amen to
kind of what
that.
we're doing these days. And the podcast has probably helped with all that credibility.
Awesome. Can you take a couple moments to talk about kind of what goes into your coaching program and what's involved with that for those that are listening out there?
Yeah, yeah. So, from Todd Toback, which you're familiar with, one of the things that I learned early in my career was acquisition sales skills training. Now, a lot of people will be like, and I came from a sales background. I do sales. I know how to talk to people. Well, talking business to business sales or selling somebody solar or selling somebody a roof is a lot better than lot different than working with somebody who's through financial, emotional, or mental, physical distress, right? It's just a different animal, and there's a lot of nuances. A lot of the sales training things that you do in there are similar, but there's definitely has to be more tailored to what we do in our niche. And I spent a lot of time early in my career learning from Todd Toback about sales training, and it was a game changer. Now his brother Dan Toback, who we hired on as a coach, is one of our coaches in our coaching program. And with him and my wife, we started REI Freedom together, and he does a weekly sales training. So, we teach people how to get off market properties, but really we're passionate about teaching them how to get really good talking to sellers on the phone and in person, because it's one thing to generate leads. It's another skill set to take those leads and convert them to deals that actually close. And if it takes you 50 leads to a deal, but you can work on your sales skills and get to 25 leads to a deal, you've just cut your costs in half or kept your costs the same and doubled your profit just by getting skills, not spending more money, but actually getting your skills better. So we focus on that. We coach acquisition guys for other companies. And we teach a lot of newbies and more experienced people and everything in between. And it's been great. But, I want to teach, on top of that, we teach people marketing and disposition strategies. We focus on wholesaling in the beginning because it's always about getting the deal first. All right. I want to get you really good at getting the deal first. But as you said, I don't want them to be shortchanging themselves just being a wholesaler. I want them to become a professional house buyer like me so they can make millions of dollars. I don't want them to make $20,000 a deal. I want them to make $50,000 a deal. I don't want them to do 100 deals a year at $10,000. I want them to do 20 deals a year at $50,000. A lot less headaches, a lot less work, and the money's the same.
Amen to that. Love it. Love it. What's the best way for our audience out there to connect with you or see what you're doing and follow you?
Yeah, you can catch me on all the social media channels, Jeremy Beland, Beland, Jeremy Beland, or REI Freedom. You can check us out there. Matter of fact, buddy, if they go to reifreedom.com/gift, they can download our free ebook of our top 5 sales techniques to get off-market deals. You start implementing these into your business right away. I guarantee a significant increase into your acquisition conversion.
Awesome. We'll make sure to put that link in the YouTube and the podcast description for you guys to take advantage of that. Jeremy, this has been awesome, buddy. You got big plans for the last Q4? Anything exciting?
Well, we got 6 weeks beginning of October. We got about 6 weeks to get more deals on the table to close revenue for the end of this year. So we're just going to try to close everything we can in this year to make this year great while trying to build momentum for next year. We never ever stop, even through the holidays. We don't stop. So Q4 is about cashing in as much as we can and building more momentum for next year. And that's what we're going to do.
Amen. I love it. It's the same philosophy I've got as well. You turn next year into a 14 month year versus just 12. Don't wait till January 1st to get started.
No.
Start today. Amen to that. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a great episode, bud.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it greatly. Guys, gals out there, you heard some amazing nuggets. Make sure to take them on that free gift. Follow what he's doing. Phenomenal stuff out there. The biggest thing I love is you heard the different aspects to talk about. You can't just do one thing. You got to do a couple different things to make sure success start to finish. It's a process. Learn that process and be focused and give it time for those seeds to germinate to yield results for you. But go out, take some action. That's the number one thing. Take some action, and we'll see you at the top. Hey, real estate investors. So you want to dive into the world of note investing, but don't currently have the funds to sign up for an expensive class or a workshop or one-on-one coaching. Well, then you definitely want to check out the biggest bang for your buck in the note world, and that's our WCN membership. It gets you an all-you-can-learn access to our class workshop replays, tapes, weekly coaching calls. For $97 a month, it's the biggest bang in the note industry because you get access weekly with me. You can book one-on-one phone calls with me. As we get different tapes in, we'll share them with our members after our one-on-one coaching students get access to us. We share a variety of tools, like I said, replays to the previous workshop, special discount codes to other events that you can take advantage of to help you get more bang out of your dollar every month. We've been investing in notes for over 20 years, and one of my biggest passions is helping note investors, big and small, get started buying notes. Yes, I got started years ago with no money, no savings, and no list, and I love helping people close on their first deal, get their first private funding partner to help them fund more deals and help them both make above average returns. If you're looking for somebody to help you take your note investing from 0 to 60 and want to get started, my WCN membership is a great place to get started. Like I said, we upload lists to it, video training, coaching calls for $97 a month. What can go wrong? The only thing we ask is you hang around for 6 months, and then if you don't like it, you can cancel. But check it out at noteumbrella.com. That's noteumbrella.com. That's our WCN membership. Get looking at assets today. Start putting your fingers on the trigger to pull the trigger on some note deals here before too long. Yes, anybody can buy notes. I don't care your age, your savings, what race, color, whatever it is. Note investing is all about what action you take. And the first action you should take is signing up for our monthly membership at $97 a month. That's noteumbrella.com. You can also access it by going to weekclosenotes.com and checking on the monthly membership. But we are here to help you. Scott Carson, the note guy. We look forward to seeing you at the top.